If people know you're rich, you're doing it wrong. In a world obsessed with status symbols, the truly wealthy are operating in the shadows, and that invisibility is exactly why they stay rich while everyone else goes broke. Welcome to the era of performative finance. In the US and the UK, we've been conditioned to believe that wealth is what we see. The lease on the luxury car, the designer label on the jacket, and the expensive weekend trips plastered all over social media. But here is the brutal reality. The loudest person in the room is rarely the wealthiest. Often, they are just the deepest in debt. When you look at the top 1% of earners, the truly wealthy, not the high-income earners, you don't see them flashing cash. You see them practicing stealth wealth. Stealth wealth isn't about living in poverty. It isn't about eating instant noodles to save a buck. It's about asset allocation over status signaling. Most people in the West are trapped in a race to keep up with the Joneses. They spend money they don't have to impress people they don't even like. The moment you start prioritizing how you look over what you own, you've lost the game. Wealth is what you don't see. It's the assets, the diversified investments, and the peace of mind that comes from knowing you aren't living paycheck to paycheck. The people who look rich are usually just one paycheck away from disaster. The people who are actually rich are the ones you'd walk past on the street and never guess they have a seven-figure net worth. They don't want your attention, they want your freedom. But how do you transition from being a consumer to a builder without social pressure pulling you back? That's where the psychological battle begins. In the UK and the USA, the biggest enemy of wealth isn't the taxman, it's lifestyle creep. This is the invisible force that keeps high earners living like they are poor. When you get a $10,000 raise at work, your brain immediately looks for a way to spend $11,000. You upgrade the apartment, you get a more premium subscription, or you start shopping at higher-end grocery stores. Before you know it, you are making six figures, but still checking your bank balance before buying coffee. This is the high-income poverty trap. The secret to building wealth in silence is keeping your burn rate low while your earn rate explodes. The wealthy master the art of the gap. If you earn $100,000 and live on $50,000, you are wealthier than the person earning $500,000 and living on $480,000. Why? Because the first person owns their time. The second person is a slave to their expenses. Building wealth without anyone knowing requires you to ignore the social pressure of the upgrade. When your friends get the new Tesla or move to the upscale neighborhood, you stay in your modest home and drive your paid-off car. You don't do this to be cheap. You do this because you understand opportunity cost. Every dollar you spend on a status symbol is a dollar that could have been an employee in your brokerage account, working 24/7 to earn you dividends. But staying silent about your wealth isn't just about saving money. It's about protection. In a society where everyone is looking for a handout or a lawsuit, anonymity is your greatest legal and social defense. If people don't know you have it, they can't take it from you. But how do you keep your investments hidden while still growing them at a professional level? It starts with where you put your money. The reason the 99% stay stuck is that they invest in things that are visible. They buy physical items, clothes, electronics, and gadgets. The problem with visible assets is that they depreciate the moment you touch them. To build wealth in the shadows, you must pivot your focus to invisible assets. These are things like index funds, private equity, and digital real estate. When you own 500 shares of an S&P 500 fund, nobody can see it when you walk down the street. There is no flex involved. But while your neighbors are showing off a car that loses 15% of its value every year, your invisible assets are compounding at 10% annually. The wealthy prioritize liquidity and cash flow over the show. They would rather have a $100,000 brokerage account that they can access in 48 hours than a $100,000 kitchen renovation that they can't eat. In today's economy, being asset-rich and cash-poor is a dangerous game. Stealth wealth is about having the power to walk away from any job or situation because your lifestyle is sustained by numbers on a screen that only you can see. This is where this silent millionaire mindset truly begins. It's about the psychological shift from seeking validation to seeking velocity. When you stop caring about being perceived as successful, you finally have the resources to actually become successful. You start treating every dollar as a seed that, if planted and left alone, will eventually grow into a forest of financial security. But there's a trap. As your net worth grows, the temptation to just show a little bit becomes massive. It's called the ego tax, and it's the #1 reason silent wealth builders fail. The hardest part of staying wealthy isn't the investing, it's the ego tax. The ego tax is the price you pay for wanting people to think you're successful. It's that urge to upgrade your flight to first class just so you can post a picture of the champagne, or buying the pro version of a phone when the standard one does the exact same thing. The 1% understand that every time you flex, you are essentially paying a tax to the public. You are giving up your capital in exchange for temporary admiration from people who don't actually care about you. To build wealth in silence, you have to become a social engineer. You have to learn how to downplay your success. When people ask how work is going, the silent wealthy don't talk about their massive gains or their latest exit. They say, "It's okay, just keeping busy." They keep their lifestyle consistent even as their income doubles or triples. This isn't about being deceptive, it's about maintaining control. When you control the narrative of your wealth, you control your environment. You don't attract friends who only want to eat at expensive restaurants on your tab, and you don't attract family members looking for loans they never intend to pay back. But the ultimate benefit of the ego tax is time. When you aren't chasing the next big purchase to impress others, you stop trading your time for stuff. You start trading your money for time. This leads to the final stage of the stealth wealth blueprint, the point where your money starts to work harder than you ever did. The ultimate goal of stealth wealth isn't to die with a giant bank account that no one knew about. The goal is the freedom exit. This is the moment where your invisible assets generate enough monthly cash flow to cover your low-profile lifestyle, while the rest of the world is trapped in a golden cage, earning high salaries but forced to work 60 hours a week to sustain their expensive cars and mortgages. The silent wealth builder is already free. True wealth is the ability to wake up and ask, "What do I want to do today?" instead of "What do I have to do today?" When you build wealth in the shadows, you aren't just saving money, you are buying back your life. You are purchasing the right to walk away from a toxic boss, the right to start a passion project, and the right to spend time with your family without checking your email every 5 minutes. Most people think they want $1 billion, but what they actually want is the feeling of $1 billion. And you can achieve that feeling much faster by simply mastering your desires. If you keep your life simple and your assets complex, the gap between your reality and your dreams disappears. The strategy is simple but requires a God-level discipline. Earn like a king. Invest like a professional. Live like a regular person. By the time the world realizes you've made it, it'll be because you've already been free for a decade. You won't need to tell them. Your peace of mind will be the only proof you need. Don't build a life that looks good on the outside. Build a life that feels good on the inside. Stop the show. Start the build. Because at the end of the day, the best flex isn't a Rolex. It's the fact that you don't even need to know what time it is, because your time finally belongs to you. If you're tired of the status race and ready to build something that actually lasts, hit that like button. We're building a community of silent winners here at Donkey Invest. Drop a 100 in the comments if you're choosing freedom over flex today. Subscribe to join the 1% who stay in the shadows and own the light. I'll see you in the next one.